Welcome to the Modern Homesteading Podcast.
We have allowed ourselves to become so disconnected and ignorant about something that is as intimate as the food that we eat.
Be prepared to grow your own for victory.
God said, I need somebody strong enough to clear trees and heave bales, yet gentle enough to yean lambs and wean pigs and tend the pink-combed pullets who will stop his mower for an hour to splint the broken leg of a meadowlark. So God made a farmer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Homesteading Podcast. As you may realize by the sound of my voice, I am not Harold. I'm Troy, and this is my wife, Kelly.
Hello.
Yeah, okay. We are going to be guest hosts right now on the podcast. Currently, as you all may know, Harold's mother has been gone through a medical diagnosis, and he is busy tending to her needs and ministering there to her. So he's taken a break a little bit from podcast and some of the other activities on his website. So as we were talking, we decided that we'd like to fill in for him and help him out there, kind of keep the momentum of the podcast going. But I just want to say, as far as Harold goes and his mom, we just ask everyone in the audience here that if your prayers, please pray for Harold's mother, that her situation would go well and there'd be healing, and just give her positive thoughts there, if you would. And we pray for a speedy recovery there, and hope Harold is able to manage all he has going on right now. Well, I would be remiss if I didn't address all the things that Harold does have going on. As you guys know, he's got a ton of stuff, ton of opportunities to build the homesteading community he talks about all the time. So just want to make sure everyone knows, visit his website, thesmalltownhomestead.com. That's smalltownhomestead.com. And be sure to sign up for his e-newsletter. There's a button there on the homepage you can click on to sign up. At his website, you'll find the blog. You'll also find the blog hop. So if you're a content creator, you have your own blog, you can share it there. Again, he's all about building community, which I think is awesome. You can also be part of the group, the closed group Homesteading Front Porch on Facebook. It's growing rapidly. In fact, I think the last time I looked, we were creeping up to 4,400 members, it looks like. So be sure to send a request to join that. It's a closed group, but if you request to join, then Harold will approve you. And you can get into some great discussions we have there. There's content and questions and feedback posted constantly. So it's really neat. It's a nice thread there. Also, on Harold's website, smalltownhomestead.com, he has a Patreon account where you can help support his efforts there. And we strongly suggest you do that. A lot of people don't know the cost that goes in with producing podcasts. And it's not necessarily the equipment as much, because the equipment's not that expensive anymore. But a lot of it is just the cost of parking all of these audio files on servers and the website traffic. And that becomes a decent expense there over time. So Harold has a very modest goal of $100 a month he's trying to reach. So please, if you would like to contribute, if you enjoy the podcast and you learn from it, then we just ask that you help support that. So just, again, look for the support link there on his website. And also, Harold does have a YouTube channel as well, the Small Town Homestead. So just go to YouTube and search Small Town Homestead and find it there, and give him a subscribe and thumbs up and watch his videos. Okay, so you may be wondering again, who is Kelly and Troy? Well, we are not related to Harold. And quite frankly, it's interesting. Kelly and I were talking about this the other night. I've never met Harold, actually. We've connected through the World Wide Web, the wonders of modern technology. But I've gotten to know him over the past couple months. A really nice guy. I appreciate his efforts here. So we're filling in for him. We are in central West Virginia, and we have a small homestead here, small farm that we're trying to build. If you want to know details, you want to hear an in-depth interview about us, you can go back to one of Harold's podcasts that was published on October the 23rd, 2016. Talks about our homestead there. He interviewed me in that episode, so we discussed the homestead in detail there. Or you can just go to our website, redtoolhouse.com, and see details there. We also have a YouTube channel. You can search Red Tool House Homestead on YouTube and find us there as well. So what's going on with us? Well, what we wanted to do today in our first fill-in, you have to bear with us because this is our first time podcasting. So Kelly and I both are sitting here in the dining room, got microphones spread out. We're kind of new to this and kind of looking at each other like we're wondering what the heck's going on. So bear with us. What we wanted to talk about is kind of just dive in, let you guys maybe have a voyeuristic view of what we'd be talking about this time of year anyway, since it's February and where we are. We're coming off of winter. We're getting excited for all the things that we have planned for spring, and if we could execute all the things we have on our list for 2017, it would be awesome. But we'll get into that, and we'll talk about some of the details and what we want to try to accomplish. So that's kind of our goal in this episode, is just talk about plans for 2017, and hopefully some of the stuff we talk about maybe motivate or encourage you guys, or maybe you guys can even throw us some words of encouragement back or some suggestions on some of the things that we're talking about. So real quick, Kelly, you want to give them any updates as far as, or give them kind of an overview of how would you describe our place here in West Virginia?
Well, we are a small farm, and we started with chickens, and we are up to roughly 100 chickens.
Yeah, I think I counted 95 the last time
right now. So we've also got, at the moment, we've got 13 hogs.
You're correct, yes. We have 13 hogs. We just sent 12 to freezer camp Monday. We transported those. So that leaves 9 more that will go to freezer camp in a couple weeks. Well, actually 4 weeks. And then we have 4 sows. You can tell us about the sows a little bit there.
Yes, we've got 3 mamas, 3 sows that have had a couple of litters each, and 1 that has not been a mama yet, that she's a year old? She a year old, or is she? Yeah.
Well, Haas is about 1.5 years old now, because she was from the previous litter.
So we've not yet bred her. And then we've got the 9 babies, and we've got a lot of mud that we're dealing with right now. This time of year is not good with that many hogs.
Well, this has been, you'd say it's been a weird winter, wouldn't you?
Yes, we've not had the cold weather that we need to keep things frozen. We've had cold weather, warm weather, cold weather, warm weather. So the thawing and freezing over and over again has not been good.
Yeah, it's been a compound of issues, not only with the mild winter, but some dummy decided he was going to bring a piece of heavy equipment in this fall. And of course, we get dry fall around September and October is really dry for us. So that's the best time to move dirt. So we did a bunch of excavating behind our barn, which is, of course, where all the pigs hang out too. And that's kind of the key point, the pivot point as they access the pastures. So we have all this open ground, and I didn't get anything reseeded at that point. So you mix open ground, some areas of fill, and then this freeze and thaw, a lot of rain. We've had a really wet winter. And then you get, at the time we had 26 pigs, which again reminds me of some heavy person in high heels walking around, because their little hooves just go right 6 inches deep in the mud. So they've just churned all that up. So it's been a mess. I can't keep anything clean. Can't keep the equipment clean. Can't keep myself clean. In fact, my hands even smell like pig mud right now, because it's just that smell you just can't get off sometimes. Yeah, you smell my fingers?
No, thanks. I'm good.
It's a shame we can't have smell-o-vision on this. So that's kind of our situation right now. Chickens, pigs, no other livestock that we have at this time. We have plans for other things, but we'll get into that in our discussion. So that's, kind of an overview of where we are. Now, for those of you not familiar with West Virginia, again, I'm not going to give you a geography or a history lesson, but central West Virginia is kind of the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. So I always joke, if you ever look at West Virginia on Google Earth, use a satellite view, it looks like somebody just wrinkled up a blanket or wadded up a newspaper and then tried to spread it back out, because there's really no method to the madness as to how these ridge lines kind of undulate all over the place. So we have 100 acres that is in one valley. So our elevation change is roughly about 600 feet to 700 feet, I believe, from the lowest point to the highest point on our property. So we have a lot of little valleys. We call them benches, where you go up the side of these mountains, if you can call them mountains. Have these little benches and all these different watersheds. Out of the 100 acres, probably 92, 93 acres is all wooded. And we live on the front 10 acres. We have our pigs pastured in the wood lot and some clear space, places where we're trying to get pasture grass to grow. So we're kind of living on the front end and clearing as we go, as we expand the homestead. We're clearing that way. So we've had the property. How long have we had the property?
Just 17 years this past month.
That's right. Yeah, we bought it in 2000. Yeah, that was an interesting story. Maybe we'll address that one of these days too. So 17 years, and
but we've not been homesteading the whole 17 years. That's something that's fairly recent.
Yeah, good point. Good point. What did we do for the first 10, 12 years? I guess we just kind of lived here, didn't we?
We just raised kids and you worked.
Yeah, that's true. Seemed like there was something about we bought this property. I wanted to be rural, and then bought all this land, and then really didn't do much with it. But now we're trying to utilize it a lot more than we had in the past. So, how long would you say we've been officially homesteading, farming, farmsteading, whatever term you'd want to use?
About 5 years.
Yeah, that's right. Because we started with the chickens first. Yeah, that was an interesting time. Yeah. So yeah, we started with some chickens, and I guess that's, everyone jokes that's the gateway drug to homesteading, is you start with chickens and everything just explodes from there. But okay, so if you're all like most of it, or if you're all like us, if most of you are all like us, then if you're experiencing winter time, I know Harold has some listeners in Australia and other places, I believe, so you guys are enjoying the end of summer right now, I guess. But if you're in the northern hemisphere, in the North American area, then you're dealing with winter, and hopefully, if you're like us, anticipating the end of it. And we like to sit around at this time and kind of daydream or fantasize how great we're going to make this place in the next 10 months, don't we?
Yes, we're highly optimistic in February.
Yes.
Of what it could be.
Yeah. It's one of those things where I wish I could be 25 again with the optimism that I have in my mind. My body doesn't agree with that.
We've got a lot of things on our goal list this year.
We do, yeah. Well, as we were sitting here writing them out, we realized that was like a couple sheets on a notepad, so that was pretty extensive. And again, apologize for me sounding like a Michener novel and being all over the place here, but just another little detail. Kelly is a homesteader. Yeah, she's a homesteader, but she's also a homeschooler. She homeschools our two boys, and then I am self-employed. I have an office that I go to 4 to 5 days out of the week. It's been 5 days more than anything here lately. So also off homestead job. So it's not a full-time gig here at the homestead. So sometimes our goal list, some of you guys that are retired or able to do completely off grid and hanging out by yourself may look at our list and say, well, I could get that done in a week, and you probably could, but it takes us a while to get a lot of this stuff done. But so again, as we're sitting around and making our list, we said, well, let's just share this with you all. That'll kind of be our foray. So not only does it give a little background in history and keep from boring you guys to tears as to me sitting around and telling stories about the good times and the bad times, we'll just get into this list of what we're doing, and you guys can start to make your own assumptions there. And again, if we're going to be doing this for a couple of weeks, then we can just build on our discussion here. So let's dive right into our 2017 plans. Obviously, pigs. Pigs are probably our, would you call them the crown jewel of red tool houses?
They're definitely our main crop.
They are. They've been profitable, I guess. It depends on how you define profitable. We don't raise hogs just for personal consumption. Obviously, who in the world could eat 22 hogs in 1 year? We sell our hogs to friends and family, and I've gone through the effort of doing what needs to be done so I can process package them commercially, so I can go here and sell, or people can buy individual cuts from me. So that's been a good way to supplement the rest of our list, I guess, financially. It provides the finances to do the things we want to do as far as buildings, other animals, those type of things. So it has been profitable for us. So right now we're on the downhill side of what I would consider the end of the hog season for us, which our seasons are jacked up, and we're hopefully going to fix that this year. But we had 22 that we took to maturity, which maturity for us was 7 months. and taking them to the processor in 2 batches. The reason why we take them in 2 batches is because they're too big to fit in our trailer. In fact, we discovered this time they were so big that I normally haul 15 at a time, and I could only get 12, and that was almost turning them in sideways to stack them up there. So I had a little bit of chunky pig this time. So as we wind down, we're actually going to get ramped back up. We're trying to get our pig season rotated a little bit. Again, some dummy always delays in breeding the pigs. We do artificial insemination, so obviously I'm in full control of that, but I always seem to drag my feet on it, and it seems like I'm always out this time of year breeding, actually inseminating. So when you do the 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days of the gestation for a pig, then that puts you sometime in June, July, as we farrowed last year at June, right? Yeah, because we were
the end of May.
That's right, the end of May, because we were in Florida. We were on vacation when our pig farrowed, which again is a entirely different story. My goodness. So when you have pigs hitting the ground in the end of May, then you do the math, 7 months, there's a lot of times that those pigs are the heaviest, they're the hungriest, they're the biggest, and they're walking around on pasture that's gone dormant. And again, our dormancy kind of kicks in. Our first frost is usually around mid-October. So things start to die off in October, so there's half of the pig's life is going to be spent on dormant pasture. So again, shame on me, we're going to fix that. So with that being said, we've got 2 hogs. Who's?
We've got 2 hogs, Abigail and Mercy.
Yeah. So Abigail is our Hampshire, and Mercy is our landrace.
That are both pregnant right now, that are due at the end of February.
Yeah. What are the 26th and 28th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. My goodness, we were down there looking at Mercy today in the barn, and she's a belly dragger. She's having a little hard time. In fact, it was kind of hilarious. She was there sleeping while we were working in the barn, and she had a whistle when she would, like a snore
She's
whistle.
breathing.
Yeah, it sounded like a cartoon type of thing. So that was pretty funny. So they're going to farrow the end of this month, which means our processing time should get bumped up to October. So hopefully, Lord willing, that these pigs will farrow, we'll have a good litter, and they'll be on pasture the entire time. We won't have dormant pasture until it's time to load them up and take them to freezer camp. So kind of excited about that. That's a little personal triumph on my part to say, hey, actually look at the calendar and breed, do AI at the proper time. So that's worked out well.
We are so excited about farrowing time. We've done this 5 times now, maybe 5.
Yeah, multiple litters 5 times, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, and every time we get so excited. It's been a great experience. We've got 2 boys. One is 15 and one is 11, and we've been doing this for a few years now, and every time we get so excited. So it's coming up. Yeah,
it's cool. I mean, again, you hear all these horror stories, and again, we've been blessed, and God's been merciful with our inexperience as we started out. But you hear horror stories about it, people losing their entire litters, or having to go in and pull and yank and do all this type of stuff, and putting down a sow, or having a lot of loss. We had a decent amount of loss last year, but again, that was poor planning on my part. But again, a different story there. But we haven't had to pull. We haven't had to go in and do that type of stuff, and we haven't had the sows abandon their piglets, as you hear again stories of mamas not wanting to be mamas. But that's worked out pretty well for us. So it's really exciting, and there is nothing funnier than piglets that first month or month and a half, because they are just absolute goofballs. I mean, they're a cross between like a cat and a puppy.
Yes, they're jumping around and they're spinning in circles and very playful. Yeah,
doing little backflips, and of course they're kind of gangly on those little hooves, and running around and tripping and falling, and so it's a hoot. So we'll obviously during farrowing time, and after that we'll have
lots of pictures and videos to share.
We'll do lots of pictures on our Facebook page and videos, and then we'll always do YouTube videos of what's going on there, because there's nothing funner than seeing the piglets run around. The other thing on our list, obviously our list for pigs was our farrowing, so prepare for that. That's what we were doing today. We were down in the barn, kind of reshuffling the barn, getting it ready for farrowing, getting the stalls ready, and that means my tractor has to sit out for a couple of weeks now, because one of the farrowing stalls is where I park my tractor. But so getting excited about that. Then, of course, a big thing on my list is mud abatement. It's this time of year where, as we mentioned, have all this mud. So on my list is I want to concrete everything. I want to concrete the whole
That
whole
would be
100 acres. No, we've got, again, as I mentioned, I have this open earth around the barn, and I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I just have to shoot a video of it to show you, but sinking up to my knees at times in places, and the tractor and the side by side trying to get through is just a mess. I sometimes wonder if I need pontoons on stuff versus wheels. So what we're going to try to do is get some gravel hauled in, some stone, some areas, fix the road. Big thing is with our layout of our place. Again, it's a big valley. It's got a creek that runs right through the heart of the property. So everything is kind of funnels down to that creek. And our road parallels that creek up through the middle of the valley. And again, like I said, we live on just the front 10 acres of it. So right now, the pig pasture is made up of different areas, but it's about 5 acres, a little bit more. And we're going to expand that hopefully this year as well. But so these pigs have been wandering around on this 5 acres, but they have access to a decent stretch of my road there. Well, they have just churned that. I mean, it looks like cake batter right now. So we were driving up there. In fact, Kelly was driving the tractor up there to help get some stone out of the creek. I mean, what was it like driving through all that mud?
It was a little intimidating.
Well, yeah.
Especially as not a regular tractor driver, but yeah, it's definitely sinking down quite a bit.
Yeah, so we're trying to look at ways that we really want to try to do pasture rotation this year, do true rotation where I can actually let portions of the pasture heal, because a pig is, they're not like a ruminant where they're just going to eat the grass and move on and maybe trample a little bit. They're going to turn it over.
They vacuum every square inch.
Yeah, did you notice that? I noticed that when we were coming through, where we've got the pasture split into two right now. We've got our big sows on what I call the north ridge, the north pasture, the north side of the creek, and then had all the others, the babies, which obviously you can't call that 400-pound pig a baby, but they're on the south side. And as I was riding on the back of the tractor, as you were driving, I was looking over there and I'm like, there's not a single leaf on this entire hillside. And they're like little Hoover vacuums that go around, and they vacuum up every bit of
everything over.
Yeah, and digging out the roots of the saplings and biting them off. So that's what I like. Obviously, we've got woodlot that we're trying to clear. And back in the 60s, this place was actually a lot of pasture. So there's a lot of underbrush and small growth like that. And they just turn that stuff over. Eat multiflora rose bush, just dig it out by the roots and eat the tender roots of it. So it's definitely handy to have some pigs. But yeah, they're like little vacuums, just vacuuming the forest floor there. So it's pretty impressive. So yeah, we're going to get into a true rotation. Probably the big thing with the road, and I was explaining this to Kelly tonight, was trying to put a fence down both sides of the road. And the reason why the pigs have access across the road is the creek, of course. The creek is a natural water source, and we have the luxury of not having to carry water. With that many pigs, my goodness, if you had to carry water, you had to do tanks and those type of things, and that would be a lot more equipment, a lot more effort. Obviously pumping the water out of the well or pumping it out of the creek. But since this stream runs through the middle of the property, then we just make sure that the pasture gives them access. Well, if you're on the south ridge and you need to get to the creek, then you have to cross my road because my road's on the south side of the creek. So we're looking at this year creating some ponds and doing some other water retention on the south side that will allow us to fence off the roads. And that way that keeps pigs off of them. They don't get them all torn up. And I come in and put stone down and get them graded, pull ditch lines, all that type of stuff, and really get a good road going there. And then when we want to rotate them across, then just have some strategically located gates that we can open them up and make these cross channels where they can be herded across the road through these gate channels and then close back off. So
that'll definitely be nice.
It will. That will. It's one of those things that's, we have a neighbor that's, he's the epitome of a knowledgeable farm guy. I mean, the guy just knows everything. If I could plug a internet cable into his head and download half of what he knows, I'd be a rich man. But
he's been very helpful, yes.
Yeah, and so he's explaining stuff to us, and just the science of moving animals. You really don't think about it much until you go to figure out, how am I going to get 22 400-pound pigs in a trailer? Then you realize, okay, there's a science to this. There's gates and choke down points and those type of things that really come in handy. So he's been very helpful there, and I'm sure we'll utilize his knowledge as well as we get into that. Well, What's next, Kel? Chickens would probably be the next thing that we talk about in our 2017 plans. What do you see for chickens in 17?
Well, we've definitely talked about meat chickens. We've done that once before, and we're looking to try that again. We've got some friends that have done meat chickens several times now, and so we were a part of their processing and learned how they've got it down to a science, and it's really been helpful for us to learn those steps. So I'm excited about trying meat chickens again. So how many? What were we thinking about trying this time?
Well, and that's the thing, and I had there in my notes, and I know we talked about this in the past, and I think it would be interesting, kind of an interesting case study, if you will, if there could be such a thing on our homestead. But looking at, everybody raises Cornish cross. That's what our experience is. That's what Daniel and Samantha did. And how many did we do up there that one day?
Well, they had 100 the first time. They had received 100. Her sister goes in with them, and they, process every year. They were doing 100, and we thought, oh my word, that's going to take days.
Yeah, and they didn't.
And they had it down to such a science that they had a station and everybody working at the stations, and it went straight into the ice. It was really interesting. And
what was neat about that is they didn't have a lot. Leg cramp. Oh my goodness, that hurts. That's live radio right there. They didn't have a lot of equipment tied up in that either. That's what blew my mind, because you think 100 chickens, first thing I think of is, oh my goodness, what about plucking those suckers? Who's going to hand pluck 100 chickens? But we didn't pluck. We skinned them out, which encouraged me going forward to say, okay, I kind of like that. There's times that you would want to have your meat chickens with skin for obviously other reasons in meal prep. But yeah, man, that made it slick. You had to skin them out. And, Daniel and I, we skinned and eviscerated, and by the time we got our two skin eviscerated and handed them to you all, you guys had them broken down. And you guys weren't just cleaning them and keeping them whole, right?
No, we were cutting the breast off. We were cutting the thighs and the legs, and we were separating everything so that everything was, in individual cuts for them. And I think that they do freeze some, and they can most of their chicken.
Yeah, that's right. They do can a lot of it. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of they did all Cornish cross, which is what we've done in the past, and that's kind of the go-to. I mean, that's the McDonald's of chicken, I guess, as far as the breed. But what I would like to do is call it a Pepsi challenge. Oh, there's our bird clock. Do the Pepsi challenge here and do a small run of maybe we get 25 Cornish cross chicks in, but at the same time get maybe some heritage, so like a Freedom Ranger or something like that, and put them in identical chicken tractors out here in the bottom meadow, and you give them the same feed ratio and ration the same way, and just see. And then at the end, when we go to process, we'll just we'll see who shook out the best. And then, of course, it's not all about weight and how much you put on. We obviously want flavor and we want quality. So that'll be a neat test. So we'll be sure to document that and have that on our channel, or get that back to Harold somehow if that becomes interesting information. But we'll document all that, even feed consumption and those type of things. So yeah, looking forward to that. What about the egg layers? Do you see anything going on with the egg layers? Anything different than we've done, or do we feel we're pretty confident where we are with those this year?
Well, we definitely need to get our chickens laying more eggs, because with 90-some chickens, and not just during the wintertime when I realized that they slow down a bit, but we're getting 20 eggs a day. That's not...
Yeah, right now, I mean, obviously
they're on the upswing because we've had more, the warmer weather that we've had lately. And they are laying a little more than they have been, but even when it wasn't the winter, we weren't getting a whole lot of eggs. So some of those girls need to be retired.
Yeah, I definitely think there's some that it's definitely a put out or get out situation with some of those eggs, that is. My complaint, and you're probably not going to agree with me on this, is this fancy pants breed that you had to have.
I love them.
They're not very prolific as far as feed to egg ratio, and the fact that they don't come online, they don't lay. What has been, we're going on 8 months on those Americanas, or Aracanas, whichever direction you decide to go with that. The chickens with the puffy cheeks is what I call them. So these dirt bags have been eating feed for 7 months, and we get one blue egg a day, and I don't know who that
We don't
one
even
is.
get it one a day, I don't think. It's like one every other day.
I think they're going down to the neighbors and
some
buying that egg.
cheerleaders.
Yeah. So we've got, how many do we have? We've got 20 something. Yeah. So 20 out of our 90 are these puffy faced chickens that aren't laying any eggs. And so that's an issue. But yeah, you're right. We've got some Australorp that they're a little long in the...
And some reds.
Yeah, no, the reds. Wow, they're really long in the beak, aren't they? I think I saw one carrying a cane and going across the pasture the other day.
What, 5 or 6? It might even be more like 6 years.
Yeah, we'll see what happened. The mistake we made, we got some of those new reds in, and again, some dummy. This dummy that runs around this place all the time. I'd love to get him out of here. Some dummy didn't tag their legs, so they're kind of, you get down on them, you can kind of see, okay, you're obviously really old and you're not, but it's not one of those things I can spot real easy. So that's actually the one thing, in fact, I need to put that on my list. I'm glad we've talked about this. We've got our phone booth coop is what I call it. It's just a little 4x4 coop, and we first started with a dozen chickens. I built this coop, and it was kind of a self-contained little gig there that we could move around. And that's what I wanted to do was set the phone booth coop up in its own little pasture, maybe just 100 square feet, something like that, and daily move, or maybe weekly move some chickens over in there when we get in the warmer months. Yeah, and get in the warmer months and see who's, give them obviously a fair chance there in the warmer months and the longer days, so they can see if they're going to lay and just start counting. So if we put 3 old maids in there and we've got 3 tough old birds that aren't laying anything, then they go to the pot. And then just kind of be like a beauty contest, but with eggs. So if you lay eggs, great, you pass. If you don't, then end the line. And thin that out. So my goal has always been 100 chickens for egg laying. And again, you may wonder, well, why 100? What's the magic number? Well, it's just a number. But in theory, I've always, we sell some of our eggs. And again, oh my goodness, don't ever feel that you're going to retire by selling eggs. The eggs barely even break even with the feed costs, and by the time you factor in time and all the expensive infrastructure, then you're on a 20-year plan to try to break even.
Especially if the majority of your chickens aren't laying.
Oh, exactly. And again, freeloaders. My goodness. So looking at that and saying, okay, we need to get some more in, some younger ones in as we retire these. But the whole plan with 100 was simply, I was going to sell what we could sell. And then I was going to supplement the protein for the pigs, because I would much rather have egg protein going into my pigs than some of the soy-based protein that we get in the feed supplement. So that was always the plan. But we've never gotten to the point where we get 70 a day or 80 a day. It's never been that with 100 chickens. So I guess we've got 4 roosters now, because our hatchery we bought the last 2 batches off of slipped us some guys in there, and they didn't catch those. So now I've got 4 roosters, and we'd have to have a beauty contest there as well to see who gets to stick around.
And we need to do some work on their pastures as well. We're fairly new with their pastures, and we've got 2 different pastures that we're trying to rotate them on, but because it wasn't such great pasture to begin with, we've planted some, what did we plant? We planted some clover and a couple different things. So hopefully this year we can rotate them a little better.
Yeah.
That comes in better.
We may come back and detail that a little bit more. But just simple pasture rotation concept. Free range, all I can say about free range, it doesn't work for us.
No.
Coyotes, neighbors' dogs, hawks. They look like chicken explosion around here with feathers everywhere. Mm-hmm. So we gave up on free ranging quite a few years ago. But obviously love the idea of a pastured chicken. Mm-hmm. So I built 2... 5,000 square foot pastures, and the game plan is to rotate them back and forth. But again, right now with this crazy winter we've had, looks like the surface of the moon right now, because they've eaten it down to nothing. So we'll this spring, as things start to grow and come out of dormancy, then we'll sequester it in one pasture, and I'll reseed one and see if we can get it big and bushy and move them over to the other. My goodness, with all the chicken excrement in those pastures, you'd think it'd grow overnight and glow like Ireland, as rich as it is. So we'll see how that works out. Well, what's next on our list? Our garden discussion, right? You took my list over there.
Oh, sorry.
So garden. Well, if you listen to our podcast that Harold interviewed, I always joke that we have a black thumb where we haven't been super successful in garden. In fact,
that's why we started with pigs.
That's true. Yeah.
That's why we gave up the garden and we went to pigs.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty bad when you can say, I can't grow a tomato, let's get a bunch of pigs. But Harold, I'm envious of Harold because what he grows on his patch of land, my goodness, it's like the Garden of Eden compared to what we have. Ours is downtown Baghdad, it looks like right now, but his looks, his always seems to be good. He's got his annuals and his perennials and all those things that he grows. So hopefully we can learn some stuff from him. But as far as our garden goes, we did, what did we do last year? Explain our last year garden a little bit.
Last year we did the straw bale gardening. We just did a small garden. We wanted to test out using straw bales, as we've seen so many people posting about, and I'd say it was successful. It was a lot of fun. Not having to worry about the weeds. I think the weeds in the past have been overwhelming. Like I said, we have had successful gardens in the past on several crops. We've done well with beans, and we've done well with peppers, and
we can grow some green peppers. That's for sure. Take them right up to frost time.
And then herbs and things like that. Things that we've not had a lot of success with have been tomatoes, that kind of thing, and I've not quite figured that out. But like I said, we don't have a whole lot of experience yet. We're highly optimistic this year. Anyway, with the straw bale garden, we did 10 bales.
Yeah, that's $7 a pop, so that was $70 right there.
Yes, and then the expense of the fertilizer and everything that went into that to prepare the bales for the planting. It was fun, though. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, you did really well with that. I was impressed.
So we grew several things, and we thought about doing it again. But I think this year we're really going to try to go big. So we're not going to stick with the straw, but maybe we'll do straw bale in the backyard as far as maybe some, I don't know, maybe a few things near the house. But we're hoping to do a big garden down near the wood shop, which is going to be, what size did you say we're hoping for?
Oh, well, with me, it's like, let's do a football field and see what we can grow and be a bountiful harvest.
Well, we've got better soil down there. The soil that we've tried to grow in is the area of our property where we cleared for the home. So virgin soil, we've tried to do some amendments to the soil, adding manure, those kinds of things. But hopefully we're going to do much better down in the soil.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Near the creek.
Because our backyard was, as you mentioned, was cut into a hillside to build the house in 2002. So we literally dropped the elevation 16 feet. Barren, sterile, nothing. It was just clay. And West Virginia is all red clay. If it's not sandstone, it's red clay. So we all the amendments we tried to do. Yeah, I think that's why the straw bale garden did so well. We may keep a small garden behind the house, in which roughly it was about 20 feet by 10. It wasn't that big. Well, you can imagine just 2 rows of 5 bales in a row and 2 rows of that. And then the big garden that we're talking about, thinking about doing 20 feet wide by maybe 40 or 50. We'll see. Now, that may not sound big for some of y'all, but again, we're just trying to get our thumbs green in this situation. Harold actually gave me some good advice when we were talking about possibly doing some hoop houses, and he was giving some advice on how to build them. So that got me thinking and kind of whet my appetite there of I'd really like to do, because white-tailed deer just wear us out here. They're ridiculous. I've hit one. We
have quite a few families that live down in our meadows, don't we?
Oh my goodness, yes. It's pretty bad when you drive up your driveway and you just have hit a deer in your driveway, and your landscaping around the house usually disappears.
I hate those deer.
Yeah, by the fall. Yeah, so a garden it has to look like a little concentration camp to be able to protect it with the fence you put around. But obviously with the hoop house, we can that'll be a pretty good deer abatement there. Obviously, it brings some other issues as far as watering that goes, but I'd like to try that. And then, like we talked about, as we roll around to next winter, then winter the chickens in the hoop house. Get them off these pastures. Put some winter ground cover, some winter rye or something like that growing in the pastures, the chicken pastures. Let those get super bushy over the winter months. Have the chickens hanging out in the hoop house. Yeah, they're warm, it's kind of sunbathing in the greenhouse situation there, and they supercharge that soil even better. So, and that's a spot we don't have. When we get high water, we don't have any issues there. It doesn't get up that high. So I think that would be safe for the chickens. And again, we don't get a lot of snow normally. Well, last year we had 19 inches one time. But so snow load, all those other things. So we're thinking about that with the garden. Maybe trying a hoop house to do that. We want to try to do that this winter, but how that goes. So that's kind of what we're thinking with the garden is to do that. And we've also been trying to put more of our what would you call that, fixed, I know there's a proper term for it, but more these fixed elements of blueberry bushes, fruit trees, blackberry bushes. We planted a lot of that this last year. In fact, about this time, it was last spring that we planted the blueberry bushes, didn't we? What did we plant? 12?
Yes, we've got 3 rows of 4. Yeah,
3 rows of 4. So those did okay. They survived, at least. I didn't kill those. So we're anxious to see how those come back this year and if they start to take off. And this fall we planted 6 fruit trees. What kind did we get?
We have Honeycrisp apple. Did we do some Golden Delicious?
I think we did, yeah.
And then another, I don't recall.
Yeah.
The third one. So we did 3 different types of apples.
Yeah, we did some sort of fancy pants brand that you wanted. That was. You said it was the most. If I go to the grocery store, it's the most expensive
That's
apple.
Honeycrisp.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, that doesn't sound too fancy pants, does it? And then we did cherry. We did a couple cherry trees, didn't we? Did we do another fruit? Or just 2 apples?
Blackberry bushes. Did you?
That's right, blackberry bushes. But 6 trees. Were there 4 apples and 2 cherries?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Terrible. Can't even remember. I'm the one that dug the holes for them. So we're anxious to see. Obviously, we planted those this fall, hoping to see how those take off. Again, got our little concentration camp fencing around those to keep the deer out. Right now they're sticks, but I could still see them out there and chewing on the sticks. So hopefully those will take off. One other thing that we have on our list for 2017, you may scratch your head and say, what in the world does that have to do with anything? But real quick, we've got, again, 100 acres, a valley. We live on the front 10, so imagine this, and we call it a valley. It's not like something you guys would see out west where you could barely see across. It's literally like a V coming down. So it's just a very narrow valley with a small watershed. But in the very back of this watershed is the majority of our property that we're not on. And when I first bought it, I went back there with the dozer, just, again, not knowing what I was doing, just went back to the dozer and cleared some spots off. So these little glades, little meadows, which, if you want to call them, you definitely couldn't call them fields. They're not that big. But we have a clearing about halfway back that's very isolated. And we've decided we really feel called to build a retreat back there. And you may wonder, what's this have to do with homesteading and why are we even mentioning it? Well, we want this retreat to be focused on marriage building. Kelly and I we've been married 21 years. We feel that marriages, people just don't take marriage seriously anymore. And we would like to kind of share our experiences, the good and the bad, with people. And then we also have some other professional friends through our church, counselors, those things that obviously can help out with us too. But we're trying to build a little retreat back there. And it's simply just an opportunity for friends and associates that we know, people that we know at church, to come out and say, hey, man, if you just need to come out and unplug, there's no internet access, there's no cell service out here, there's nothing, no electricity, it's nothing. You're in the middle of the woods. Bring your spouse out for a weekend, live in a rustic, camp out in a rustic cabin or a tent. We'll see how far we get, and just unplug and spend some time with your spouse. Talk if you don't talk, hang out if you don't hang out, those type of things, and we just help facilitate maybe even some discussion that gets beyond weather and politics and all that foolishness, and talk about things that really matter. So that's kind of our goal. We want to have this facility back there, but it's going to be very, very rustic. You and I, we sit around and brainstorm things, and again, get pretty excited, and things that looks like we could cost us $1 million to build. But
yes.
But we want to this summer, or this 2017, these warm season, we want to start building some infrastructure back there. but we want to do it all off grid. We want to do it all rustic. We want this retreat to be like stepping back in the 18th century, minus the malaria, cholera, and scurvy, and all that, all the disease, all the fun with none disease.
Yes. Just the good parts.
Yeah, but then also maybe look and see as it goes. Maybe we do solar if we find there's a demand for a little bit of electricity back there. If we wanted to need electricity for some reason. The water, utilizing the springs that we have. We've got a lot of springs on the property, so water. But we're going to have to build, obviously, a small bathroom facility back there, maybe a little shower setup, kind of a rustic old school shower. But build cabins that would be kind of like one-room cabins for the couples to stay in. What else do we want to put out there?
Well, we want to do a picnic shelter, so if we've got a bunch of people out there and we're going to do dinner together or lunch together, we have a place if we need to get out of the rain. So we want to do a picnic shelter, maybe eventually a kitchen, maybe eventually.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean by kitchen?
Well, I mean an outdoor
Well,
kitchen.
Martha Stewart, what are we talking about?
An outdoor kitchen. We're obviously going to start out with the basics, but and as we go on, just see what we need, what would make it better for the people that we're hosting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're encouraging somebody to come out, because we're thinking in our model, come out Friday afternoon, hang out, maybe you go home Saturday evening type of thing. And maybe that grows. We'll see. Again, we're going to crawl before we run. But in that situation, obviously, you want to feed them. You want to give them a place where if they got to go potty, they go potty. You don't want to have to drive all the way back out to the house to go to the bathroom. So, a little...
We want it to be comfortable for them, but still feel that it's an adventure.
Yeah, because you're right. And I think, the masculine side of me is like, we don't need a bathroom. There's a log over there. You go stand behind that tree. This is not a men's
retreat. It's a marriage retreat.
That's right. Yeah. I don't want women to be like, okay, this place is nasty. I'm not hanging out here. We definitely want to encourage both sexes to be able to have comfort and enjoy what they want to enjoy. But I think we talked about like a nice campfire circle again, a big one that we can get around. But yeah, I think in our picnic shelter, the plan of having maybe an outdoor kitchen, a grill type of thing. We can go old school. If I could find, just use some of the life hacks we see. We've got some of these homemade oven styles or these barrel ovens and those type of things. So we could do some cooking. Again, we just want to be able to serve and just minister to the needs of couples. And as we've talked about this with some of our friends and people at church, it's just amazing how much support we're getting. People go, oh, that's a great idea. Man, we want to support. And even had a couple of my doctor friends ask me if they could write me a check. I'm like, ooh, sweet. But no, we're not at that point. So yeah, a lot of support. People say, man, we'd love to do that.
We just want to be an encouragement to marriages, and maybe if we could just help spark that little bit of excitement. Yeah,
because we're obviously not counselors, we're not marriage advisors, and we're not trying to fix anybody. I don't think. I mean, that's not our goal. It's just simply, hey man, if you need to recharge, come out here and recharge. Because we have people out here all the time. Our city slicker friends that come out and they like to get out and we shoot stuff. We're big Second Amendment advocates, so we get out and shoot stuff and just enjoy things and enjoy the weather and enjoy the woods. Campfires constantly. So that's kind of how we roll in that speed. And we discovered there's a lot of people that don't have the ability to do that in town, and they want to get away. They
enjoy the outdoors. Be out of town, but not too far out of town that they can't rush back if they need to.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, you and I take it for granted. You and I can go for a walk through the woods all the time, but I just wonder, and people that are listening to this, how many people have taken a stroll through the woods with their spouse. Now, granted, you guys are homesteaders, so maybe you do it all the time. Maybe I'm preaching to the choir here, but yeah, just slow stuff down. Life's too fast. There's too much foolishness going on. So spent a lot of time talking about that, but that's something we're really excited about. We really feel directed there, and we've had a lot of doors open for us. I think it would be easy to say that we're being led in this direction to at least build this and see what comes of it.
Well, we've been asking for quite a long time, how can we use this property to be a blessing to others? And we really hope that this is a way that we can be.
Yeah, good point, yeah. 17 years and still trying to figure out what to do with 100 acres. So you're right. I think this hopefully could be the open door. And again, as we forecast on down the road, maybe this is even agritourism. Maybe as we get our stuff together, if you all find this even remotely interesting, maybe some of this crowd could come out and see how we screw things up here at Rental House. Or
Great.
not. Yeah. Come and inseminate a pig with us. That'd be fun.
We'll get rid of some of this mud first.
Yeah. How many people would pay? Hey, would you pay the... Instead of going to the Marriott for anniversary, come out to Red Tool House and inseminate a pig. Sounds like an anniversary plan to me. Have the boys pick you up in the farm limo. Okay. Well, the next thing on our list is for our plan for 2017 is irrigation and water management. Now, we always joke that homesteading or farming in West Virginia, our pigs have two legs longer than the other because everything stands on the hillside. Not a lot of flat land. I've joked for years that 100 acres, and I really don't have a place that I can even easily turn the truck around with a trailer. That's just that type of topography around here. But the one thing that all this sloping hill benefits us is, of course, gravity can become our friend there. West Virginia is just pockmarked with springs and a lot of limestone, a lot of sandstone, so there's water everywhere. My goodness, we've never had a water shortage around here, knock on wood. And so we want to take advantage of that with the amount of water that we have on the property. We've got springs. I've got some springs that are at the top of the very last bench of one of the ridges that we have where my son broke his arm. We always want to refer to that as, that's like, Liam's arm break meadow. Yeah, he broke his arm there, so that's got to be, you end up naming spots on your homestead. So we've got a spot up there that, it runs constantly. Even in dry August, it's got a huge damp area up there, a little swampy area. So looking at harnessing that, utilizing some irrigation lines, and being able to get water down. I love the fact of this last year with our blueberry patch, utilized an IBC tote, which that cracks me up. IBC totes are kind of like the calling card of the homesteader. If you drive down the road, if somebody's not using one for a garbage bin out by the road, but you see it somewhere else in the property, like, oh, that guy's a homesteader, he's got an IBC tote.
They come in handy.
They do. It's like, there for a while, I kind of had an IBC tote addiction. I kept finding it on Facebook, like, I'm going to go buy that one, I'm going to go buy that one. And you're like, how many IBC totes do you need? But, we had an IBC tote last time that irrigated our blueberry bushes, and IBC totes, I think ours are 275 gallons. Yeah. So I had 275 gallons in there, and just had the boys. That's the cool thing about having kids too. Is like go out there and every day turn the IBC tote on for 10 minutes and let's irrigate the blueberry patch. And then even looking at automatic timers. But then even for your straw bale garden, we had the water from the well on a timer system because we had enough head pressure from there that we could use those diaphragm timers. And so your garden got watered every night.
Great.
It was awesome. And you had a neat, really utilizing drip irrigation and some of those miniature sprinkler head things. We have to do a video of that one time to show that. That turned out pretty cool.
That made gardening that much more fun last year.
Yeah, no weeding and no watering. It was nice. So utilizing the IBC totes more, and then one thing we discovered, obviously, with West Virginia clay, it obviously does not absorb water very well. And so these little benches, again, I refer to these benches on our ridges, our mountains, are these flat areas. You imagine terraces that have eroded over hundreds of years or thousands of years, if you will, that are just these little flat areas, and they just kind of stair-step down the side of the mountain. So all these little benches, of course, have miniature, smaller watersheds that come off and feed into our main creek. So we've got all these little watersheds, little nooks, if you will, that I can get in there with a tractor and just by dumping some dirt around them with this clay, bang, you've got a 6x6 pond real quick, and it'll hold water. And so we've been doing more of that. So we want to take that to the extreme, and maybe if we can get the time and the resources, bring in a piece of heavy equipment and actually put a full-size pond in. But again, once we have the pond, utilizing gravity irrigation, buried line down. It's like I always think of Polyface Farm with Joel Salatin. He's got pond on the back of his property. I think it's several miles. I think he says he's got 80 pounds of pressure by the time he gets down to the barn. Like, man, he'd knock a hair off a cat with that. But that would be awesome to have that type of water pressure. So that's what we're going to try to do. And of course, utilizing gravity feed, and then gutter catchment, those type of things, rain barrels. We've got the gutters on the barn, gutters on the workshop, gutters on the house, of course, and the gutters on the chicken coop, that we could start catching that water. And then we even have, what's funny, we have the backflush system of our house and then the sump pump of our house. So our house sits 100 feet above the valley floor. And when we built it on an old apple orchard and had to cut it out of the side of the mountain. And as luck would have it, we built the house right over top of some sort of aquifer, some sort of spring. And that thing was just cranking out the water in our crawl space forever. And so we ended up having to put one of those basement crawl space liners in, and with the irrigation or the drain tile type of thing. So it all goes over to a sump pump, and of course that sump pump has a float and pumps it out. Well, my goodness, that thing sounds like a bilge pump on the Bismarck. It's constantly cranking out water. And this water just goes over the hill, So I think there's nothing wrong with this water as far as it's just, it's a gray water. It wouldn't be something that I would drink. But so we have all this water. So we're going to look at putting some tank systems in there and utilize some solar 12-volt pumps to lift it up and get it up into larger tanks. The IBC tanks are even larger further up the side of the mountain. And then our well, we have a drilled well. It's 180 feet. And this part of West Virginia, you always have iron and sulfur issues in your water. Well, we have a backflush system that allows us to backflush, and it of course filters out that sulfur and that iron. And so we what's that run? That runs how often does that kick on?
Is it every 3 nights? Twice a week?
Yeah, every 2 days, I believe. Yeah.
Is it 2 days? Yeah,
every other night, and it kicks on in the middle of the night. So, so it happens like that on a regular basis. So with that, it backflushes, and right now it's just going into our septic system, which is a lot of water. I don't know how many gallons it runs, but it runs pretty heavy for an hour. So you can imagine, faucets running full bore for an hour. So we got to get that out of get it out of our septic system, and again, there's some good gray water, and again, not potable water necessarily, but it'd be some gray water that we can use. So if every 2 nights we're getting maybe 50 gallons or 100 gallons being pumped out of there, then again, it's a shame just to let that go over the hill. So we're going to try to capture that as well. So a lot of plans there with the water and trying to do some better water management on the property. Well, that's the end of our list. And we are creeping up on an hour here as well. Wow. So we've definitely talked people's ear off if they're still hanging in there. So hopefully you are still hanging in. Well, is there anything you want to add, Kelly, before we wrap this puppy up?
Not that I could think of offhand.
Okay. Well, let's call this the end here. And like I said, just kind of revisit some things real quick. Again, if you want to know anything about our place, redtoolhouse.com is our website. Check us out there if you like. But don't forget about Harold's mother. Again, we just prayers for her and pray that things would go well in her treatment, and that Harold would be able to take care of all the things he needs to take care of as he ministers his mother's needs and, of course, his family's needs. He's got a lot going on there, so we just pray that things go well for him here in the next several weeks, and that he wouldn't get too stressed out with all that's going on. Again, be sure to check out his website, smalltownhomestead.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out what's going on with the blog. And definitely join, if you're not on the front porch yet, be sure to check out the Homestead Front Porch on Facebook. Just send a request to join the group. Harold takes care of that pretty quickly usually, and get you in there, and some great discussion. Again, 4,400 people in there talking nothing about homesteading, so it's good stuff. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel, Small Town Homestead. And don't forget to help support him on his Patreon account. Get some love there, and let's try to get him to that goal of 100 a month so he can continue cranking these podcasts out and all the other things he's doing as well. So that wraps us up, and we'll Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, we'll do this again next time. And until Harold, like I said, fires us or is ready to come back to work there. So we pray you all have a great week and take care.
Thanks for listening. To see the show notes for this podcast or listen to other podcast episodes, go to smalltownhomestead.com. There you can also read our blog, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and take advantage of the many resources we make available to help you along in your homesteading journey. Please share this podcast and help us to carry out our mission of helping others to homestead today for a better tomorrow.